The 1960s were a remarkable time to be a military engineer. The rules hadn't been written yet, and Convair proved that by designing something that had absolutely no right to exist, and yet made complete logical sense for the battlefield it was. Built for .Meet the Convair Model 49. A vertical takeoff multi-role aircraft conceived for the U.S. Army during the Vietnam era, designed specifically for the dense jungle environments where conventional vehicles couldn't maneuver and conventional aircraft couldn't land. The solution? Build something that was all three. A ducted fan system provided vertical lift, taking off straight up from a jungle clearing with no runway required. Once airborne, it transitioned to forward flight like a conventional aircraft. On the ground, it carried the firepower and armor of a fighting vehicle. Machine guns, grenade launchers, rocket launchers, all modular, all configurable for the mission. Turkey is building its own combat robots, and the Sarboat is the proof. Unveiled by Sarmas at the Saha Expo 2024 in Istanbul, the Sarboat is an advanced armed robotic system designed for the exact environments where sending human soldiers creates unacceptable risk. Hostile terrain, perimeter security, high-risk reconnaissance missions where the first thing through the door should not be a person. The Sarboat combines mobility, firepower, and autonomous capability in a platform built entirely from locally developed Turkish technology, no foreign components, no external dependencies, indigenous defense manufacturing from the ground up. Advanced mechatronic systems give it the movement precision and environmental awareness that dangerous operational scenarios demand. It navigates, it observes, it responds, without requiring a soldier to physically occupy the same space as the threat. The beach isn't the destination. For the Burden AVL, it's just the middle of the journey. Australia is developing one of the most capable amphibious logistics vehicles in its defense history. Built to replace the aging Lark V fleet and designed for the exact environment where conventional military vehicles give up. The transition zone between deep ocean and dry land, deep water, surf zone, beach landing, inland route, one vehicle, continuous movement, no transfer, no delay. Water jet propulsion handles the ocean phase. A dynamic drivetrain takes over on land. Front and rear steering gives it maneuverability that rigid axle vehicles simply cannot match. Self-leveling suspension, automatic tire inflation, traction management systems that adapt to whatever surface appears next. And it does all of this while carrying heavy cargo via modular deck configuration and an onboard crane. Something faster than what exists. More agile, more survivable, ready for urban environments and rugged terrain equally, and armed well enough to handle whatever it finds when it gets there. Meet the Bell 360 Invictus, Bell's contender for the U.S. Army's Future Attack Reconnaissance Aircraft Program. The competition to define what armed helicopter reconnaissance looks like for the next generation of American air assault. Speed, range, maneuverability. The Invictus was designed to exceed current attack helicopter performance across all three simultaneously. A 20mm cannon provides direct fire capability. An internal payload bay accepts modular weapon launchers, configured for whatever the mission demands before the aircraft ever leaves the ground. Internal carriage keeps the aerodynamic profile clean and the radar signature low. Fly-by-wire. Flight controls deliver precision that mechanical systems at this performance level simply cannot match. The ocean is a big place, and the threats that move across it don't announce themselves. The Somalu security vessel 35M was built for the reality of modern maritime security, where the mission changes, the conditions change, and the vessel needs to handle both without missing a beat. Meters 30 knots. Built for speed, agility, and maneuverability in the sea states that maritime security operations actually encounter, not test day conditions. Operational conditions: coastal surveillance, border control, search and rescue, counter-piracy operations. 1. Platform. Every mission advanced navigation systems give the crew complete situational awareness across the patrol area. 70 grams. That's less than 3 AA batteries, and it's one of the most tactically significant pieces of equipment a frontline soldier can carry. Meet the Black Hornet Nano, a palm-sized reconnaissance drone developed by Teledyne FLIR Defense that has quietly transformed how soldiers see the battlefield without exposing themselves to it. Launch it in seconds. It flies with almost no visual signature and almost no acoustic signature. Nobody on the ground hears it coming. Nobody sees it until it's already overhead, transmitting everything it sees. High-resolution video, thermal imaging, live intelligence, streamed directly to the operator's handheld display in real time. Scout a building before entering, detect hidden threats around a corner, assess terrain beyond the next ridgeline, all without putting a single soldier in the line of sight. Environments used by militaries across NATO and beyond, proven in real combat deployments. Nobody has to go down there anymore. That's the entire point of the STM Netas 300 DART, a next-generation autonomous underwater vehicle developed by Turkish defense firm STM, designed to do the most dangerous underwater military work without putting a single sailor at risk. 100 meters deep, 24 hours of continuous operation, deployed by just 2 operators from virtually any surface vessel in the fleet. No specialized submarine required, no dedicated launch infrastructure, 2 people and any ship. The mission list is serious: mine hunting, underwater reconnaissance, surveillance, anti-submarine warfare, explosive ordnance disposal, search and rescue, advanced sonar systems, including side-scan and optional synthetic aperture sonar, detect, classify, and map underwater mines and threats with precision that manual diving operations could never safely or consistently achieve. Currently undergoing Mediterranean sea trials. Real water, real operational conditions, real validation. The Turkish Navy gains persistent underwater capability that previously required far larger and far more expensive assets. And export, potential signals that other navies are watching these trials closely. Naval helicopters are expensive, pilots are scarce, and the missions that require both never stop coming. The Leonardo Proteus was built to change that equation. Developed through collaboration between Leonardo, the UK Ministry of Defence, and the Royal Navy, Proteus is a next-generation unmanned rotorcraft designed for the exact missions that currently require crewed aircraft to do: long-range, autonomous, vertical takeoff and landing, no pilot required. The modular payload bay is the design decision that makes it genuinely versatile. Standardized mission pallets swap in and out rapidly, configuring Proteus for anti-submarine warfare. One mission, maritime surveillance the next. Logistics resupply the one after that. Same aircraft, different mission. Minutes to reconfigure, AI-assisted. Flight planning keeps it operational in contested environments, complex airspace, and GPS-degraded conditions where conventional navigation fails. A digital twin development environment refined the autonomy and flight systems through extensive simulation before physical testing, reducing risk and improving reliability before the aircraft ever left the ground. Most drones are built to be useful. The Racer Experiment 4 was built to be extraordinary. This is Airbus's high-speed experimental UAV, a purpose-built testbed for pushing next-generation drone technology to the absolute limits of what current aerospace engineering can achieve. Not a surveillance drone, not a delivery vehicle, not a commercial product with a price tag and a launch date, a pure speed and agility experiment. The aerodynamic design is optimized for one thing above everything else: cutting through the air at velocities that conventional UAVs don't attempt and performing high-G maneuvers with the kind of precision and control that only state-of-the-art flight control algorithms can deliver at those speeds. Advanced propulsion system, sleek low-drag airframe, flight software that keeps the aircraft controlled when the physics are doing everything possible to make it otherwise. Coastal waters don't wait. Threats move fast, emergencies develop faster, and the vessel responding needs to be ready before the situation is fully understood. The Sentinel 830R was built for exactly that moment, a high-performance patrol and defense. Boat designed for coastal surveillance, law enforcement, and rapid response operations where stability, speed, and reliability are not optional requirements. They are the entire point. The hull design delivers exceptional stability across the eye. Sea states that coastal patrol actually encounters not ideal conditions, real conditions. Rough water, high-speed runs, sustained operations over extended periods without mechanical compromise. Reliable engines push it through those conditions with the speed and maneuverability that quick navigation and effective threat response demand. When the call comes, the Sentinel 830R is already moving. Someone took the world's most reliable off-road vehicle and turned it into an armored personnel carrier that holds 8 soldiers and mounts a grenade launcher. The Toyota Land Cruiser 79 is already legendary. Militaries trust it. Aid organizations depend on it. Extreme terrain enthusiasts swear by it. And then someone asked, what if it was also bulletproof? Meet the Tigor, an armored personnel carrier built directly on the Toyota Land Cruiser 79 platform, taking one of the most proven off-road foundations ever made and wrapping it in serious military protection. The result is something that combines battlefield survivability with the mechanical reliability that Land Cruiser owners already know is essentially unbreakable. The armored body handles ballistic threats. Reinforced glass keeps the crew protected without sacrificing visibility, and mine-resistant underbelly absorbs blast energy from below, the threat that ends most unprotected vehicles instantly. This armored vehicle survives IED blasts, fits in city streets, and gets used by militaries and police forces worldwide. And most people have never heard of it. Not every battlefield looks like a war zone. Some of them look like city streets, and that is exactly where the Sandcat was built to operate. This is the Plassen Sandcat, a compact multi-mission armored vehicle designed for the missions that fall between full military combat and everyday policing. The dangerous middle ground where the threat is real but the environment is tight. The armor handles ballistic rounds, explosions, IEDs, the vehicle that drives over a bomb and keeps going. But here's what separates the Sandcat from heavier armored platforms. It's compact, agile, urban-friendly, narrow enough for city streets, tough enough for off-road terrain, fast enough to respond before the situation escalates further. The modular design means the same vehicle becomes a troop transport one day and a special operations platform the next. This military buggy fits inside a helicopter, carries special forces troops, and goes anywhere on Earth. And it's already deployed right now. Special operations don't wait for roads. They don't wait for infrastructure. They don't wait for anything, and neither does the Polaris MRZR Alpha. This is a compact tactical vehicle built specifically for the most demanding military missions on Earth, designed by Polaris Government and Defense, used by special operations forces who need to move fast, hit hard, and disappear before anyone knows they were there. Small enough to fit inside a helicopter, small enough to load into an aircraft and drop into a remote location in hours. But don't let the size fool you. The MRZR Alpha carries multiple soldiers and heavy equipment across terrain that stops larger vehicles cold. Desert, mountains, dense jungle, mud that swallows conventional trucks. It keeps moving. A turbo diesel engine paired with an advanced transmission handles the power. High ground clearance and a purpose-built suspension system tackle obstacles that would end the mission for anything bigger and heavier. India just built its own armored vehicle, and the military ordered over 1,300 of them before it even finished testing. For decades, India equipped its forces with foreign armor. That chapter is closing. Meet the Mahindra Armado, India's own indigenous armored light specialist vehicle. Built by Mahindra for the Indian Armed Forces, and already ordered in numbers that tell you everything you need to know about how seriously the military takes it. Over 2,300 units before full production even began. The Armado runs a 3.2-liter multi-fuel diesel engine producing 215 horsepower and 500 newton-meters of torque through an automatic transmission. Top speed hits 120 kilometers per hour. 0 to 60 in 12 seconds. Range stretches 400 kilometers on a single tank. Fast enough to chase. Tough enough to take a hit. Stanig Level 2 ballistic protection handles bullets and grenade fragments. The kind of protection that keeps soldiers alive in the exact environments the Armada is designed for. Counter-terrorism operations, reconnaissance, missions, high-threat border zones. This electric military buggy drives itself, fires a machine gun remotely, and launches its own drone, all without a single soldier exposed. The battlefield just got quieter and significantly more dangerous. Meet the Nikola Reckless, an all-electric, lightweight tactical vehicle built specifically for modern military operations, and it does things that would have sounded like science fiction 10 years ago. Let's start with the weapon system. A remote-controlled turret armed with a 7.62mm machine. Gun sits on top. Soldiers engage targets from inside the vehicle, fully protected, zero exposure. The gun does the work while the crew stays behind armor. Then there's the drone. The Reckless carries its own reconnaissance and surveillance drone, deployable, directly from the vehicle. Eyes in the sky launched from the ground in seconds. See the threat before the threat sees you, and then it gets genuinely impressive. Self-driving technology lets the Reckless navigate difficult terrain completely autonomously. Send it forward without sending a soldier forward. Scout the route. Deliver supplies, draw attention, all without a single person inside. The US Army just built a combat robot with no crew, carries weapons equal to its own weight, and fights completely on its own. Nobody drives this. Nobody sits inside it. Nobody pulls the trigger manually. Nobody puts their life on the line to operate. It, the TRX, just goes. Built by General Dynamics Land Systems for the US Army's Robotic Combat Vehicle program. This is what the future of ground warfare actually looks like. Not a concept, not a prototype gathering dust in a lab, a real combat robot being developed right now. The TRX runs a hybrid electric powertrain that powers the vehicle and exports energy to every weapon system and sensor module it carries. And it carries a lot. Payload equal to its own weight. Weapons, sensors, electronic warfare systems, resupply equipment, swap the mission module, and the TRX becomes a completely different machine in a completely different role. Reconnaissance, direct, fire support, counter-drone operations, obstacle breaching, autonomous resupply runs. Israel built an armored vehicle so compact it goes anywhere, but still carries thermal cameras, remote weapons, and stops bullets cold. Small doesn't mean vulnerable. Israel proved that a long time ago, and the Yagu is the latest proof. Built by Plassen, the same company that armors vehicles trusted by militaries across the world. The Yagu is a lightweight armored vehicle designed for one specific purpose. Get there fast. Stay protected. Complete the mission. Despite its compact footprint, the Yagu carries serious ballistic protection, the kind that handles real threats in real environments, not test range conditions, military operations, law enforcement, border patrol, high-risk urban missions where size matters as much as survivability. The surveillance package is where it gets impressive. Thermal imaging sees through darkness and smoke. Remote-controlled weaponry engages threats without exposing a single crew. Germany built a military vehicle so small it folds flat, fits inside a helicopter, and still carries 7 soldiers into combat. Germany looked at the problem of getting troops into impossible places and built something that looks like it belongs, on a farm. Meet the von Krake 640, a compact foldable military vehicle that served Germany's airborne and mountain troops from the 1970s all the way through the 1990s, nicknamed the Powered Cart. And every bit as clever as that humble name suggests. Here's the genius of it. The entire frame folds flat. Load it into a helicopter, drop it into a mountain valley, unfold it, drive away. Minutes, not hours. A 26-horsepower BMW 2-cylinder engine, the kind of modest power unit you'd expect in agricultural machinery, pushed it to 60 kilometers per hour, carrying 7 soldiers or 750 kilograms of cargo. But transport was just the beginning. The Krake 6040 could be fitted with recoilless rifles, anti-tank guided missiles, or automatic cannons. This tiny French tank from the 1930s was so useful that the enemy captured it and kept using it themselves. Size doesn't always win wars. Sometimes the smallest machine on the battlefield is the most important one. Meet the Renault UE, a compact tracked carrier built in France in the early 1930s. Small enough to look almost harmless, practical enough to become one of the most widely used military vehicles of its entire era. 2 crew members, just a few meters long, and it went everywhere the big vehicles couldn't. Rough terrain, narrow passages, muddy ground that swallowed larger trucks whole. The Renault UE kept moving through all of it, carrying ammunition to frontline troops, towing small weapons, pushing supplies forward when everything else got stuck. It wasn't glamorous work, but without it, the infantry stopped fighting. Thousands were produced across France, and when World War II arrived, the Renault UE proved something remarkable. The enemy captured them and kept using them. When opposing forces overran French positions, they didn't abandon these little machines. They repurposed them, put them straight, back to work in different roles under a different flag. That is the highest possible compliment a military vehicle can ever receive. Russia built a tank where the crew hides in an armored box and the gun fires itself. But nobody has seen it actually fight yet. The T-14 Armata. Russia's most ambitious armor project in decades, and a design so radical it genuinely changed how military engineers around the world think about what a tank can be. Here is what makes it unlike anything else. The turret has no crew inside it. 0. Empty, fully remote controlled. All 3 crew members, commander, gunner, driver, sit, sealed inside a heavily armored capsule at the front of the hull, completely separated from the gun, completely separated from the ammunition. If the turret takes a direct hit, the crew survives. That single design decision alone is revolutionary. The 125mm smoothbore cannon fires conventional rounds and guided missiles. Explosive reactive armor covers the exterior. An active protection system detects and intercepts incoming projectiles before they reach the hull.